In last lecture, we have discussed about acid, bases, and salts concept. In this lecture, we are going to see concepts related to metals and non-metals. So here, if you observe, we have elements in periodic table. How many elements are there? In the sense, there are 118 elements. All these 118 elements divided into different categories like metals, non-metals, and metalloids. Out of 118 elements, there are 92 metals, 20 non-metals, and 6 metalloids are there. But this count is not needed. It is not required. They will not ask any question regarding this count. Just for your idea, I told 92 metals, 20 non-metals, and 6 metalloids. So here we need to discuss about metals properties and non-metals properties. So first of all, what is meant by metal? Metals, always it will be trying to lose electron to become stable. So first of all, if you observe periodic table, this is periodic table. There are 118 elements. In that periodic table, we have alkali metals, alkaline earth metals, lanthanoids, actinides. This we are going to discuss in 5th chapter. We have post-transition metals, transition metals. We have metalloids, other non-metals, noble gases. If you observe, except this hydrogen, this lithium, atomic number 3, lithium 4, beryllium 11, 12, 19, 20. These all are metals. Here, these all are metals. And here also, these all are metals, of course. This entire part, this red color, we can observe transition metal. These are also metals. And while coming to this side, here we have atomic number 2, 10, 18, 36, 54, 86. Here. 2, 10, 18, 36, 54, 86, 118. These all are noble gases, stability elements, 0 group elements, 18 group elements we can call. In periodic classification, we will try to understand this one. And here from 6, this 15, 33, this zigzag. This is, so these elements are non-metals. And what are the elements we have here? They are metalloids. So like that we can divide. So non-metals we have, metalloids we have, metals we have, and these all are metals. These all are metals. Now, while coming to metals, metals always it will be losing electron. Why? Because to become stable, stability numbers we have 2, atomic number 2, 10, 18, 36, 54, 86, number 2, helium, 10, neon, 18, argon, 36, krypton, 54, xenon, 86, radon. These are all stability elements and metals. We need to compare metals atomic number. We need to compare metals atomic number, metals or non-metals, whatever it may be. Atomic number 2, nearest stability element. Nearest stability element, such that we can get the difference between its atomic number, I mean metal's atomic number and nearest stability number. The difference we have to take, that we are calling it as valency. According to the valency, metals and non-metals will be combining, that we are going to discuss in this lecture. So first we have to learn about few physical properties of metals. Metals are solid at room temperature. Maximum all metals will be solids except mercury. Mercury is the only metal will be liquid at room temperature. Next, metals are hard. Yes, maximum all metals are hard, so that only it can be used in construction, building, bridges, etc. Aluminium, iron, etc. Except lithium, sodium, potassium. These are soft metals. They can cut with knife. Lustrous means property to shine. Gold, silver, platinum. These all metals will be shining, so that it can be used in making jewelry. Exceptions: sodium. Sodium is non-lustrous metal. Melting point is high. Yes, all metals will have huge high melting point, but gallium, cesium have low melting point. How much low? In the sense that gallium melts on our palm. If you place that gallium on our palm, it will melt, because our body temperature is less than 35 degrees, 35 less than 35. So its melting point is very less than 35. And malleability is nothing but property of metals. We can make them into sheets, thin sheets. So we can use those metals. Metals can be hammered to convert into sheets, but there are few exceptions. Sodium, lithium, potassium, we cannot make it into sheets. Ductility, nothing but property to make it into wires. Maximum all metals can be made into wire. And if you see, most malleable, most ductile metal is AU, nothing but gold. Gold can be made into very thin sheet as well as very long wire. Good conductors, all metals are good conductors of heat as well as electricity, so that only to pass electricity and cooking utensils made up of metals only. In that, silver is very best conductor of heat. And while coming to poor conductor of heat, lead and mercury, these two metals are very poor conductors of heat energy. It cannot conduct heat, and silver is very best conductor of heat. Of course, electricity also. And high, they have high tensile strength, so it can tolerate the tensile. At the same time, more stress, more strain can be tolerable. Then exceptions: lithium, sodium, potassium have very low density and low melting points also. At last, we have another property, that is nothing but sonorous, property of producing sound, produce sound on striking hard surface. These are physical properties of metals. Here we have another PDF where we can discuss physical properties. Metals are solids, all metals are solids except mercury. And then metals are hard, of course, except lithium, potassium, sodium. Every metal is hard. They have metallic luster, property to shine. Malleable metals, maximum all metals are malleable, can be beaten into sheets, but a few metals are not malleable, like sodium, potassium, lithium, etc. Metals are ductile, that can be drawn into wires. Metals have very high melting point except gallium and cesium. They have very low melting point. How much means they can melt in palm of the hand. Metals have high boiling point. We need to supply huge amount of temperature to boil that metal. Metals are good conductors of heat. In that, very best conductor we can take silver and copper, very good conductor of heat energy. There are poor conductors of heat energy also. Metals like lead and mercury are very poor conductors of electricity. Metals are very good conductors of electricity. Here, lead and mercury are poor conductors of heat energy. And while coming to good conductors of electricity, in that, very best conductors are silver and copper. Metals are sonorous, which produce sound when beaten with hammer or stone or something. So these are physical properties. Next, we need to discuss about chemical properties. In that chemical property, first let us see reaction with oxygen. When metals are reacting with oxygen, when metal is reacting with oxygen, we'll get metal oxides. All metal oxides are basic in nature, which you have learned in second chapter. But also I have given one concept that some metal oxides are amphoteric in nature. What is amphoteric in nature means? Which will be showing both acidic as well as basic properties. And 99% of metal oxides are basic in nature only. Remaining 1% will be showing acidic as well as basic, so that we are calling it as amphoteric oxides. Example, magnesium. This is not example for amphoteric. This is just normal example for metal reacting with oxygen. Metal plus oxygen gives rise to metal oxide. And you see, if you take this metal oxide and if you add that one in water, it forms base. You see, metal plus oxygen gives rise to metal oxide. If you take metal oxide and if you add water to it, if you mix that metal oxide in water, we'll get base. For example, sodium plus oxygen, sodium oxide. If you take sodium oxide mix with water, we'll get sodium hydroxide, that is base. Magnesium plus oxygen, magnesium oxide plus water, magnesium hydroxide. Calcium plus oxygen, calcium oxide plus water gives us to calcium hydroxide, bases. Most metallic oxides are basic in nature, but a few will be showing acidic as well as basic. Example, amphoteric. In that, we have aluminum oxide and zinc oxide. Two oxides are there. Aluminum oxide, Al2O3, zinc oxide, ZnO. These two are examples for amphoteric oxides. Next, you see, aluminum oxide will be reacting with HCl because now its nature is basic. Aluminum oxide will react with the base because its nature is acidic. Whatever it may be, we will get salt and water, of course, neutralization reaction. But here this equation is most important. Al2O3 plus NaOH, sodium hydroxide, gives rise to, we have a separate salt, that is NaAlO2, sodium aluminate. Guys, in second chapter we have discussed about sodium zincate, if you can remember. Now it is sodium aluminate. Now most metal oxides are insoluble in water, they have given, and some metal oxides dissolve in water to form alkalis. Here most metal oxides will not dissolve in water, but a few will be dissolving in water such that it form alkalis. Alkali is nothing but bases which are dissolving in water. That is a thing. Example, you see, if you take sodium and if you mix that sodium with oxygen, we will get sodium oxide Na2O. Now, if you take that Na2O and if you add it in water, we will get NaOH, that is base. So metal oxide reacting with water to form base. Now, there are few exceptions. We have to understand that one. Now, reaction with oxygen, there are few exceptions. If you try to see this one, metals like potassium, sodium reacts very vigorously with oxygen. Potassium K, sodium Na will be reacting very vigorously with oxygen. How much vigorous? In the sense it catch fire if it kept open, so that only they are stored in kerosene to prevent from the burning. They are not stored in water also, because in water we have O kada, we have oxygen, so that. And sodium, potassium is that. Now magnesium, if magnesium is heated, it burns with bright flame. This is, you see guys, maximum questions, they might not ask regarding the equation, they might ask regarding the exceptions. Now, while coming to the iron, iron is heated. If iron is heated, it glows very brightly. And you see, iron metal cannot catch fire, but iron fillings, iron powder will catch fire. That is another point. If copper, Cu, is heated, I mean Cu plus O2 gives rise to, if it is heated, does not burn, but it forms black coating of copper oxide. Cu plus O2 gives rise to CuO. I didn't balance this equation. If you want to balance, it will be 2Cu plus O2 gives rise to 2CuO. Next, silver, gold, platinum does not react with, they do not react with oxygen because they are rare earth metals even at high temperature. So that only we are wearing that silver ornaments, gold ornaments, and platinum ornaments, it will not be corroded very easily. It will take much time, maybe 2 months, 3 months, 4 months time it will take. Some metals like magnesium, Mg, aluminum, Al, zinc, Zn, lead, Pb, etc. forms an oxide layer over it, which prevents further oxidation. Very important point, known as self-protecting metal. So that only we have discussed one thing. You see, iron, easily it can get rust, but you can apply zinc coating on iron, nothing but galvanization. You see, zinc is more high reactive than iron, but we are using zinc on iron. Why? Because if you take that zinc, if there is corrosion on the surface, that's it, it will not be corroded further. There is no corrosion passing inside this metal, there is no further oxidation, there is no further corrosion, so that it is these metals are known as self-protecting metals. That's it about oxygen. And then we have to go with another chemical property, that is acid. Means when metals are reacting with acid, metal plus acid gives rise to salt and hydrogen gas. And test for the hydrogen gas we have learned in second chapter. If you pass that hydrogen gas near the burning splinter, it will put off with pop-up sound. For example, metal, magnesium, acid, HCl. When magnesium is reacting with HCl, magnesium will displace this HCl and it will enter into this position, and hydrogen is displaced. So metal plus acid reaction is also known as displacement reaction as well as substitution reaction. Next, only magnesium and manganese metals react with very dilute nitric acid to evolve hydrogen gas, while hydrogen gas is not evolved react with nitric acid. Here one exemption is there. What acid we have to take? Yes, you can take HCl, you can take H2SO4, but nitric acid, HNO3, if you take, when any metal is reacting with HNO3, of course we'll get salt plus two more products we are going to get. First, second product is water, because nitric acid is very strong oxidizing agent. At the same time, we'll get oxides of nitrogen, nitrogen oxide, nitrogen dioxide, etc. Here we have another type of liquid, that is nothing but aqua regia, is a mixture of concentrated HCl, hydrochloric acid, and nitric acid, HNO3, ratio of 3:1. I mean 3 parts of HCl and 1 part of nitric acid should be taken, and if it is mixed, it will become aqua regia, where it can dissolve gold, silver, platinums, etc. Next, there are few exceptions are there reacting with acids that we are going to see here. This is reaction with water, right? Okay, reaction with acid we'll see. Here, reaction with acid, when metal, whatever it may be the metal, magnesium, aluminum, zinc, iron, whatever metal, if it is reacting with acid, maybe HCl or H2SO4, we'll get salt. These all are salts, and hydrogen gas is evolved, that is common. Now, the reactivity varies from metal to metal. Every metal cannot react with acid with the same reactivity, guys. For the above metal, decreasing order of reactivity, magnesium is high reactive, next aluminium, next zinc, next iron. So magnesium reacts very vigorously, magnesium is greater, and aluminium next, next zinc, next iron. Copper, silver, gold do not react with dilute HCl. Hydrogen gas is not, this is another point. So this is one point, this is one point. Hydrogen gas is not evolved when metals react with nitric acid. I told you, because nitric acid is strong oxidizing agent and it oxidizes H2 which is produced to water. I mean, nitric acid is strong oxidizing agent, it produces oxygen gas. And you see, hydrogen gas is liberated when metal is reacting with acid. When H2 is reacting with O2, hydrogen and oxygen both react to form H2O. So that only when metals are reacting with nitric acid, it forms salt plus water. Here you see, copper is reacting with nitric acid, it is producing salt, copper nitrate, and water is produced. At the same time, oxides of nitrogen is also produced. These are the exceptions we have to understand. Next one, water. When metal is reacting with water, it forms metal oxides or metal hydroxides, guys. You see, when metal is reacting with water, we'll get either metal oxide or metal hydroxide, and hydrogen gas is evolved. Now, when we are going to get metal oxide, when we are going to get metal hydroxide, when metals are high reactive, we'll get metal hydroxide. When metals are moderate reactive, we'll get metal oxide. Example, we can observe here. You see this reaction with water. This sodium, potassium, calcium are high reactive metals. Aluminium, iron are moderate reactive metals. High reactive metals, when reacting with water, we are going to get, you see, metal hydroxide, sodium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide, calcium hydroxide, etc. But when moderate reactive metals are reacting with water, we are going to get only metal oxides, aluminum oxide, iron oxide, like that, copper oxide, Cu is also moderate reactive, and hydrogen gas is common. Then there are few exceptions in that. Sodium, potassium metals react very violently, very vigorously with cold water to form sodium hydroxide and hydrogen gas, and it catches fire. You see, with cold water, what metals will react? Sodium and potassium. Next, this one, calcium reacts less violently with water to form calcium hydroxide, and water does not catch fire. So calcium can react with water, but very less violently. Another metal we have, magnesium. Magnesium reacts only with hot water, not with cool water. Magnesium only with hot water to form magnesium hydroxide. Metals like aluminium, iron, zinc only react with steam, guys, not with cold water, not with hot water, only with steam to form metal oxides. Metal like lead, copper, silver, gold, platinum do not react with water. So different metals, different reactivities we have to understand. Next, solutions of other metals, simply to say, metal plus salt gives rise to metal plus salt. Here one thing you have to understand, this metal should be high reactive salt. In last lecture we have discussed salt will have two parts. First part is metal part, second part is compound part, and this metal should be moderate reactive or least reactive, such that this high reactive metal can displace this metal, such that this metal will be displaced here. If this metal is least reactive or moderate reactive, there is no displacement. That we have to understand. For example, you see, iron, copper sulfate. Iron is high reactive. In copper sulfate, copper is moderate reactive. Then iron can substitute this copper and copper will be displaced here. If I take equation like Au, that is gold, gold plus copper sulfate gives rise to what? I'll ask you. Here you see, gold is least reactive when compared to copper. Copper is high reactive. So answer is no displacement. That is the answer we have to write it. So let us try to see that one also. Reaction with water is done. Reaction with water now. Metals, reaction of metals with metal salts. So more reactive metal displaces least reactive metal. That is fine. If metal is least reactive, it cannot displace high reactive. Magnesium is high reactive, copper is low reactive, least reactive. It can form magnesium sulfate and copper is displaced out. And zinc is high reactive, iron is high reactive, copper is least reactive, so that zinc is substituting and copper is displaced out. These are the concepts you have to understand, no exceptions. Next, we have to discuss about non-metals. What are the physical properties of non-metals? Here, let us try to understand. Non-metals are solids, of course, liquids, of course, gases. We can get solids, liquids, gases. For example, solids, we can take sulfur, carbon, sulfur, or solids. While coming to liquids, bromine is liquid non-metal. While coming to gases, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, these are gases. They are brittle, easy to break, non-lustrous. It will not shine, but only non-metal, iodine, which will shine. Low melting points, low boiling points. If there is no sonorous, it will not produce sound. We cannot make into sheet. We cannot make into wires. They are very bad conductors of heat, bad conductors of electricity. But there is one good conductor of electricity, that is graphite. Graphite is the only non-metal which is good conductor of electricity, and diamond is the only non-metal which is good conductor of heat. Very less tensile strength. If you take thread and if you hang one a big stone, automatically it will break, it will cut. No tensile strength and very low density. So these are physical properties of non-metals, and here also we can observe physical properties of non-metals. Non-metals may be solids, liquids, gases. Solids, carbon, sulfur, phosphorus. You can take example, liquids, bromine, gases, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen. Non-metals are very soft except diamond, that is the hardest natural substance. Non-metals do not have luster, it will not shine, but only iodine non-metal will shine. Non-metals are non-malleable, we cannot make into sheet, not ductile, we cannot make into wire. Non-metals which are solids and liquids have very low melting points and very low boiling point. Non-metals are very bad conductors of electricity, but diamond is good conductor. Non-metals are bad conductors of electricity, but graphite is good conductor. Non-metals are not sonorous. Then, while coming to the chemical properties. Reaction with oxygen. Yes, we have one chemical property. Non-metals react with oxygen to form non-metal oxide, and non-metal oxides are acidic in nature. But here, this point you see, most non-metallic oxides are acidic in nature, but some metal oxides are neutral in nature. For example, carbon monoxide, and they are neutral. You see, carbon dioxide also somewhat neutral. You see, carbon dioxide, we can add it in water and it can become H2CO3, and that is nothing but soda water, which we can drink, right? And H2O. H2O is also non-metallic oxide. Hydrogen is non-metal and O is oxygen. Non-metallic oxide, which is neutral, which we can drink. So non-metal oxides are acidic. Maximum will be neutral. And non-metal do not react with acid. There is no reaction with acid, and they do not react with water also, and they do not react with salts also. Non-metals cannot react with acid, cannot react with acid, cannot react with salt, cannot react with base, cannot react with water. No. So a few will be reacting with water, not all. So there are no many chemical properties of non-metals. So till now we have discussed metals, non-metals. Of course, what are metalloids? Shows properties of both metals and non-metals. Much is not there to learn. Then we have observed chemical properties of metals, chemical properties of non-metals, and here we have reactivity series. This reactivity series, we have to understand. Reactivity series nothing but metals are divided into three categories: high reactive, moderate reactive, least reactive. And we have to understand the series. According to the series, they might ask you questions in your examination. So according to the series, we have to write the answers here. Shortcut I told you to remember. So you can remember, please stop calling me a cute or a zebra. I like her calling me smart guy or girl. Right. Now you see, P, first letter P, potassium, second letter S, sodium. Here first letter is Ca, calcium. M stands for magnesium, A stands for aluminum, Z stands for zinc, and I for iron, L for lead, H for hydrogen. Of course, that is non-metal. C for copper, M mercury, S silver, G for gold. So you have to understand. And in this sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, aluminum, until here we can take it as high reactive, and these are amphoteric oxides we'll get, because it will be showing the acidic as well as basic properties. And from here or from here until hydrogen, we can take it moderate reactive. And from copper, mercury, silver, from copper we can take it as least reactive. We have least reactive, moderate reactive, and high reactive metals. Next, then we have discussed physical and chemical properties, and last part we have physical chemical properties, and we have a concept regarding how do metals or non-metals react. It is quite simple. Always metals will be losing electron to become stable. It becomes positive ion. Non-metals always it will be gaining electrons to become stable. It is negative ion. Here they have given one example regarding sodium chloride formation. Let us try to understand. You see, I'll try to tell very easily. Sodium, its atomic number is 11. We have to compare its atomic number with, here I told already here one concept. Always we need to compare its atomic number with, here I told, we need to compare its atomic number with nearest stability element such that we will get valency. According to the valence only, we are going to write the electron dot structures. Sodium atomic number is 11. If you see the stability numbers 2, 10, 18, 36, 54, 86. Now we have to compare that 11 with these numbers. 11 is very near to 10. So that 11 should become 10. It should lose one electron. So 1 is the valency of sodium. We can draw like this, Na with one cross mark. This cross is representing one valency electron. Next, chlorine. Chlorine atomic number is 17. 17 is not stable. You have to compare 17 with these numbers and we will get 18. So 17 is very near to 18 and its valency is 1, of course, but we have to write outermost electrons. To write outermost electrons, we have to write electronic configuration 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p5, or this can be written as here first orbit 2 electrons, so 2 comma, second orbit 6 plus 2 8, so 8 comma 5 plus 2, that is 7, 2 comma 8 comma 7, and 7 are outermost electrons and can be represented like this. Chlorine with 7, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Now sodium and chlorine both will be reacting with each other, formation of NaCl. Here you can observe sodium has only one valency electron, chlorine has 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Sodium will donate one electron to chlorine. Chlorine will accept one electron to become stable. Now sodium has lost one electron and it has become 10, that is stable, neon electronic configuration. Chlorine, it has gained one electron, it has become 18, argon electronic configuration. Sodium, by losing one electron, it will become Na plus, positive ion. Chlorine, after gaining one electron, it will become Cl minus, negative ion. Both positive ion and negative ion both will combine together to form one ionic compound. You see, ion plus ion gives rise to one compound, that is ionic compound. And this equation can be written as Na plus plus Cl minus gives rise to NaCl. That is the concept of ionic compound formation. And we have another example, that is magnesium chloride. Well, coming to magnesium chloride, magnesium atomic number is 12. 12 is not stable. Nearest stability number is 10. 12 should become 10. So it has to lose 2 electrons. So 2 is the valency. And if you represent electronic dot structure, magnesium 1 and 2, because 2 valency electrons are there. 17, that is chlorine. So valence electrons already we have discussed here. Its electronic configuration is 2, 8, 7, and 7 is the valency electron count. Now chlorine can be represented like this. Chlorine 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Now you see guys, chemical formula of magnesium chloride is MgCl2. What is the meaning of MgCl2? Means we have only one magnesium and we have two chlorines. So magnesium will donate one electron to one chlorine, another electron to another chlorine. That is the meaning. Here you can observe we have magnesium, 2 electrons will be present, here 1, here 1, and chlorine 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, another chlorine 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. One electron is donated, transferred to one chlorine, another electron is transferred to another chlorine. Now how to write this one? In the sense, we have to write it as Mg2 plus, because one magnesium is losing 2 electrons, plus 2 chlorines, 2 Cl, each chlorine is gaining 1 electron, 2 Cl minus. We should not represent like Cl minus 2. Why? Because what is the representation of Cl minus 2? One chlorine is gaining 2 electrons. No, that is not happening. One chlorine is not gaining 2 electrons. One chlorine is gaining only 1 electron, like the 2 chlorines are there. Mg2 plus 2 Cl minus gives rise to MgCl2. That is the concept of formation of magnesium chloride. To write the ionic compound, first of all, we should have some idea regarding atomic number. First, we should have its atomic number and then valency count and then electron dot structure. Next, there are few properties of ionic compound. This must and should we have to read. Regarding this also, there are chances of asking question. Ionic compounds are the compounds formed by transfer of electrons from metal to non-metal. Always metals will be losing electrons. Non-metals will be gaining electrons. So metals will lose electron and that electron will be transferred to non-metal. Metal, by losing electron, it will become positive ion. Positive ion means cation. Non-metal, after gaining electron, it will become negative ion, nothing but anion. Ion and ion both will combine. Ion and ion both will combine to form ionic compound. And you see, ionic compound, all salts are ionic compounds. All salts are ionic compounds. And if you take salt, there will be two parts, right? First part is metal part, second part is compound part. Next, properties of ionic compound. Number one, they are formed by transfer of electrons and made up of ions. Ion plus ion, ionic compound. Number two, they are crystalline solids. They are solid in nature. There will be strong nuclear force of attraction between two atoms. Next, they have high melting point and boiling points. If you give huge amount temperature also, it will not melt. So salt, if you take it in a pan and try to fry that salt, which is available in your kitchen, you cannot melt it. Huge temperature is given, but soluble. They are soluble in water. No temperature required. If you take cool water, add one pinch of salt, one spoon of salt, that can be soluble. Here, melting and soluble both are not same. To melt, we need temperature. We have to supply temperature, but for solubility, no temperature required. We need only liquid. They are soluble in water, but insoluble in organic solvents. Organic solvents means hydrocarbon compounds, which we are going to study in your fourth chapter. Hydrocarbon compounds like petrol, kerosene, oil, diesel, etc. It will not be soluble. They conduct electricity only in molten state or in solution. Molten means liquid state. If you take just normal big crystal of salt and if you pass electricity through it, it cannot conduct. They do not conduct electricity in solid state. They conduct electricity only in molten state or liquid state. So here also we have all the concepts regarding that one. If you want, you can take screenshots. Formation of sodium chloride. Here I told you Na by losing electron, it will become Na plus. Chlorine by gaining electron, it becomes Cl minus. Na will donate one electron to chlorine, NaCl. Like that only we can get Na2O also. And there are properties of ionic compounds. These are solids, crystalline nature. They are strong force of attraction, soluble in water, non-soluble in polar solvents, good conductors of electricity only in molten state. They do not conduct electricity in solid state, high melting point, high boiling points. That's it about chapter 3. You can take screenshot of this ionic or covalent compound. You can take screenshot of this properties of ionic compounds. We are going to discuss regarding light in our next lecture.